Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're doing a full giant pumpkin reset. It's summer now and we're getting a lot of nice warm weather, but we're not getting a lot of rain. All the rain that they keep forecasting just keeps going right around us. So I actually have the rain harvest tank from the barn down here getting filled up. This is actually the second tank that we filled up. We filled up one this morning and took it up already. I just don't think we have any rain coming. I'm about to let Dabbles and the ducks out to the pond here, but we have a priority project to work on today. Unfortunately, my giant pumpkin down the pumpkin patch did not make it. I'm not sure if it was yellow vine disease or I just let it get too dry on a hot day, but either way, it's not growing anymore. Hump up. We got a lot of beautiful color coming from the hostas right now. There's a lot of color all over the property actually. The poppies are blooming here, the poppies are blooming there, and we have hostas blooming everywhere. Oh, the geyser. Gorgeous. Unfortunately, the other day, the geyser scared Dabbles and the ducks, so they've been staying away from the beach. They've been coming up here to the bog filter, so I'm curious to see if they go back to the beach today. But anyway, we have a giant pumpkin right here that my friend was growing and he didn't have any space for it. It was one of his backups. So it's still here in a 5-gallon bucket and it's my best chance for a giant pumpkin this year. Now I do have some other pumpkins growing on the squash mound, but that squash mound really doesn't have the best soil. I'm just hoping to get some decorative pumpkins out of those. This is full, I'm ready to take this up. So that's why I'd like to get the old pumpkin out of here so I can get a new pumpkin in the patch. And we also have the gladiolas blooming here, the butterfly bush, the hostas, the sunflowers, the calla lilies. Gorgeous. And my tiger lily's about to open. But I'm rather disappointed with how my giant pumpkin turned out this year. It is beyond saving right now. So my best bet right now is to rip it out, throw it in the compost, and get this all tilled again. Get all these weeds knocked down and get a fresh pumpkin planted in here. Hump up. We got some squash growing out of the compost back there looking healthy. The watermelon's growing right here on the start of the squash mound, and we do have some other ones coming up here. We have some pumpkins toward the end that are doing pretty good. And even though I amended the hole with better soil whenever I planted it, the whole squash mound isn't that great of soil. And with the fabric on the way it is, any of the rain that we have been getting has been just running off. It's not really soaking in. So I've just been carrying out water cans trying to keep these alive. I do not have water down here into the vegetable garden right now, so I do have a hose that comes down, but it doesn't even reach the whole garden. So my gardens are still under process. I just started gardening down here before I had any of the infrastructure set in. So as I'm learning what I like to grow down here in the gardens and where things need to be to grow them, I just keep adding to the garden as I need it. I've been spending a lot of time on the homestead stuff here earlier in the season, so the garden's getting taken over by weeds. I'm going to come through with a weed whacker today and get that cleaned up. And like I said, we're going to rip out the pumpkin, get the patch tilled, and hopefully get a new pumpkin planted in there. And the big maple tree branch is still up there in the top of the hemlock. We're probably going to work on that this weekend. So we definitely still have some life to the plant, but this guy is not helping out. Those are squash bugs, and we need to keep them away from the plant. I didn't use 7 this year, and they can definitely be carriers of disease. This is what their egg sacs look like. So if you see these on your leaves, you want to take your thumb and squish them all off. And a lot of the time they're on the underside of the leaf, which makes them harder to find. But this plant still has some life to it, but it's definitely not going to be able to produce a pumpkin anymore. It's still rooting into the ground pretty good. But I do think I have just enough time left in the season where I can try and get another one growing here. So I got to cut my losses here, get this one pulled out, thrown in the compost back there, and we're going to try again. So grab a drink, sit back, relax, and we're going to get started here. All right, Dabbles, bring your ducks out, buddy. Cool off in the pond. Got you some kale if you want it. Come on, bud. And there you go. Stretch them wings out. Come on, pup. Bring them over. Gorgeous, Dabbles. You big bird. Come on, pup. I'll put your kale on the beach here, Dabbles. Here, bud. Kale on the beach. All right, guys, it's a little bit later now. I had to go up to the barn, do a full turnover, and now we're back down here in the garden. All right, I got the old dying plant out of here. I also got everything weed whacked down so it didn't get tangled up in the tiller. I brought the tiller through 3 different directions, so I got it all broken up the best I can. For best results, you really want nice soft soil, especially up here at the surface. Pumpkin roots really stay at the surface, so once you get this nice soft soil with the roots growing through it, you don't want to go around and walk on it and stomp everything down. So Puppy knows the drill. He has to use the walking board to get around, and that's why I also use the bread trays, so I can set those around and I don't stomp on the plant whenever I have to get up close to it. But right now I have a lot bigger problems than compressed soil. Pup, nice and soft. Now I did make a nice soft mound here for my original planting, but I can't go into the same spot. That's going to be filled up with roots, so I'm just going to go onto the side of the mound here. This is not going to be an ideal planting, and I get that, but I just want to get something in the ground. I have all this open space down here in the patch, and I really wanted a giant pumpkin this year. Pup. We do have something growing out of the compost here that looks really healthy, so I'm curious to see what that ends up being. But we have this spare giant pumpkin plant. We're going to try and get something to grow here this season. This is in a 5-gallon bucket, and I really want to get this out without damaging the roots so it's not stunted at all. But it's not going to be easy to try and turn that upside down and dump it out without damaging the roots. So I have a plan to cut it out. Echo Pup, did I just feel a raindrop? That would be neat. I could really use rain. Should have brought a shovel. Alright, we got the bucket open. Alright, well that worked out pretty well. I was able to get the root ball out of there without much damage. The replacement pumpkin is in and hopefully, oh, that's not working anymore. Sun-baked. But we got the replacement pumpkin in. I actually put it in backwards. I have the vine going the wrong direction, but hopefully we can get some good growth out of it and it won't be too bad to just spin it around. I planted it just off to the side where I had the last one before. I had a little bit of plant tone fertilizer, so I used that in the hole. And the only thing left to do now is to water it in. But that's gonna be all for this one. I feel terrible letting that pumpkin die, but the only thing I can do is just to try again. So if you wanna keep following along with everything here at Whitt Acres, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.